Hi there, this is Angie Carpenter, Town of Islip Supervisor, and welcome to this edition of Supervisor Spotlight. We're here in the studios at Long Island MacArthur Airport at courtesy of 103.9 Long Island News Radio. Gosh, they do a fine job. I was just listening to them as I was driving over to the studio. And in the studio with us today, we have Tom Owens, who is our Commissioner of Parks and Public Works. And, last time, Tom, you were here, it was winter time. We had just come through the storms and we were keeping our fingers crossed that we didn't get any more. Talked about filling potholes and all those other things that come with winter. And here we are now. The summer is winding down and you're still so very, very busy. And we thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about what happens in the parks, especially during the summertime. So welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Supervisor. I'm happy to be here. Yeah, I guess it's over a year ago, is it?
Yeah.
Safe to say it's over a year ago. Our summer season now is just ending in parks, and we have 100 parks, 9 bay beaches, 2 swimming pools, 1 spray park. We have baseball, and we have a number of camps. We have senior centers, and we really serve the public well.
It's interesting because we talk about the enormity of the facilities, under the purview of the Parks Department, and the programs that take place, and the marinas and the docks, and just the sheer maintenance of all of that is terribly huge. But I think our move to combine Parks and Public Works last year was really a very sound decision, because it enables us to use our resources better and hopefully divert resources to what the public can see and what the public can enjoy. And programs and the parks and all those wonderful things that we have certainly fill that bill. I asked you when we were off camera a bit, but I wanted to share with everybody, and because I was surprised at the number of hires that take place for the season, for the summertime. So would you share that?
Sure. We actually have 150 regular parks employees, and it jumps up to 800 during the summer season, which is mostly high school kids, a lot of college kids. We hire 150 lifeguards, and many of them they're repeat employees that come back that are familiar with the town of Islip, and we really depend on that workforce. And we're a big hiring force in the town of Islip, especially in these very difficult times. I guess you heard that Cisco is laying off 14,000 people, and they're closing 4 restaurants. I'm trying to think of the name of that one. Local restaurant, Applebee's.
Applebee's, wow.
Locally. So we have tremendous amount of employees that we do hire in the summer.
Well, and people, especially young people, count on that summer job. And it's a wonderful experience. We have people, as Tom said, that have been with us for years that come back, and we love that institutional knowledge that they bring, that experience that they bring. It really serves our residents well. You talked about lifeguards. They do a tremendous job, and it is not easy to be certified as a lifeguard, especially an ocean lifeguard. It's a very, very rigorous testing process that a young person goes through. In fact, it was interesting the other day in town hall, a young man came through and happened to be acquainted with someone that works in my office, and he was so excited because he had just learned that he had passed his lifeguard's test, and he was going to get fingerprinted and going to get his ID and just couldn't wait. But it is a long, hard road, and it's not as simple as it looks sometimes.
Yeah, and we were without, knock on wood, except for that one woman that got lost at one of our Fire Island beaches. But was found and safe, thank God. But knock on wood, we're without incident this year. So they're well trained in first aid and in many levels of safety. So we're very fortunate, and it's a very good resource, and we hold it dear to our heart.
Life is very, very precious, and you talk about the fact that we have lifeguards, and they're on our bay beaches, they're on our ocean beach. But there are so many pools that we have in the town of Islip. So many people have swimming pools above ground, built-in pools, and sometimes we forget. And I'm going to, use this opportunity to give a little plug for that. We've really tried to step up the enforcement, and it's all about safety. Believe me, there was a tragedy in the beginning of the season, and it's not the first time that it's happened that we lost a life. Backyard pool, neighbor, family. All it takes is a split second to turn your head, and those kids are off. And we're trying to get that word out to everybody. And when you contract to buy a pool, build a pool, a lot of times, most times, the person doing the installation will say, "Oh, I'll take care of getting your permit." And they do, they get that permit, but we have, I can't tell you how many open permits, because the education really doesn't flow to the very, very end to tell the consumer, to tell the homeowner that yes, they opened the pool permit, but it's your responsibility to close it. It's your responsibility to make sure that all of the parameters that have to be met to certify your pool, to have it go on your CO, are met, whether it's the gate, the self-locking gate, the alarm in the water. And I don't have a pool, and I'm not sure what all of those requirements are at this point, but it is the homeowner's responsibility. So if you're not sure, if you have a pool, call the Town of Islip Planning Department. They will let you know. You can go online and islipny.gov, and you can be connected right to the planning department, and they will check for you and let you know if your pool is legal or not and what you need to do. And we're not trying to, harm anybody, with fees and everything. It's all about getting you compliant and keeping everyone safe. So with that, we'll move from the pools, and you mentioned a spray park. We do have a spray park, Shipwreck Cove in Bayshore. It's been there a number of years and very, very popular. And I'll let you announce where our next spray park is going.
Yes, we're very fortunate. I know last week you got some news from Assemblyman Ramos.
Yep.
And he secured, with your help, and he secured over $2 million. And it's going to be at Roberto Clemente Park in Brentwood.
Yes.
And that has certainly been, we've been violated as a town and as residents, so I know that you're very excited about that, and it's really a big help financially to us, and a nice venue for the public there that was kind of scorned.
It's very interesting, because we did have a press conference last week, and my only help was that I encouraged the assemblyman to think about a spray park, and it really didn't take much. He was very, very excited about it. He did his research. He actually went and looked at the one that we have in Bayshore and looked at a number of others, and was very, very excited. And he did his due diligence. He did his homework and was able to secure a $2 million grant for the town of Islip to put a spray park in at Roberto Clemente Park. And as the commissioner said, we were violated as residents of this town with that awful dumping scandal, but I am very, very proud to be able to share with everyone that the contamination has been eliminated. It's been removed from day one. I got on that with the help of the commissioner and everyone else in DEC and in the town of Islip, who was committed to making this right. We got through that process of removing the tainted materials, if you will, and working very closely with the DEC to develop a plan on how we're going to go to the next phase for Roberto Clemente Park. And the day of the press conference, we actually got news that our plan has been finally approved for moving forward with the remediation, and that was very exciting. That was the last thing we had to do to go to the next step, which is an RFP, and unfortunately things take a little bit longer in government than they might otherwise, but we need to do everything in the old, dot your I's, cross your T's. We have to make sure that everything is done right and appropriately. And with this $2 million from Senator Phil Ramos, and I can't thank him enough, we are giving something to the community that they really want. So we are going to take a little break. We've come to our first segment, but stay tuned for the next segment of Supervisor Spotlight. Welcome back to Supervisor Spotlight. I'm Angie Carpenter here in the studio with Tom Owens, our Commissioner of Parks and DPW, Cultural Affairs, Recreation, all of those good things. Actually, when you were talking earlier, that good things kind of popped into my mind, because this is a commissioner that helps us with our parks and marinas and all of the wonderful things that people really enjoy as residents of the town of Islip. And we were talking a little bit before the break about the spray park that is going into Roberto Clemente Park due to the efforts of Assemblyman Phil Ramos and the $2 million grant that he secured for us. And what's interesting is that we have convened a community group of stakeholders, residents in the hamlet of Brentwood, to talk to them about what they would like to see for the new improved Roberto Clemente Park. And of course, our commissioner is sitting in on those meetings and very much part of it. And on our first meeting, we had blueprints out there, and we were looking at schematics of the park and everything that's there now and what we might like to see. And it was interesting to listen to them talk about wanting a spray park. And all I could think of, and I know that Tom felt the same way, it was ka-ching, ka-ching.
Right.
These are not inexpensive. And I'm trying to be delicate and tactful and say, well, how about a spray pad instead of a spray park? Because they really are a lot cheaper and a lot easier to maintain. So I think I almost had them convinced. So when we were able to let them know, and Mary Reed, who's a member of that group, was at the press conference. She was so excited and couldn't wait to go home and tell her grandson that it was going to be a spray park that we'll be seeing at Clemente. But there's a lot that has to be done, and now you're going to begin with the RFP process.
Sure.
Because the remediation was done, and we did all of the debris was removed, but it left us with a hole that needs to be filled, and that all, again, as I said earlier, has to be done very, very appropriately. And the residents of the town can rest assured that that is the plan. So we talked a little bit about our parks and our marinas and docks, and one of the jewels in our marina system in the town of Islip is Atlantique, over there on Fire Island. It's on the Great South Bay and literally steps to the Atlantic Ocean, and an incredible facility. How many slips do we have there?
We have about 160.
160 slips, yeah.
And we through your leadership, Angie, I know you know Fire Island. I know you've been here many years, and I know you consider the Atlantique like a crown jewel. So we look at it that way, and starting early, right after the winter, we started doing, major improvements that bring it to another level, and it's working out. It's working out real well. There's a little pushback because people generally don't like change, but I do believe it's working out. We're gonna consider this year a year of analysis, and we do have a group that we meet with as well. So they do count. Their voice does count, but I think that it's working out well, and we're anxious to look at all the data to see what direction, if we took the right direction, and how we're going to move forward. But we were over there, me and my assistant, last week or a couple of weeks back, and we're happy to say that we think it's working out real well.
Well, it's interesting. I did have an opportunity to go over there also, and I had somebody that I really don't know approach me and said, thank you very much. We love what you did. And there were a lot of improvements that were done. As Tom said, we went over early before the season began and looked at, the condition of everything. Yeah, a new playground, brand new playground, which had been promised to the people over there for a number of years. And due to some things that shouldn't have happened, the playground that was ordered got diverted. But we do have a beautiful pirate theme playground there, and the kids love it. And I happened to be there, and this couple was walking towards the playground, and they had a little boy, I'm going to say he was about 8 or 9, and he looked up and said, "Oh, Mommy, look at that playground. I'm so excited." And he ran over to it, and it was just really heartwarming to see that, But in addition to the playground, things like new fixtures in the bathrooms, brand new showers, because I went over there, and I have to be honest with you, I was appalled at the condition of the facility there, that we had let it get to that point. So, after many, many years of neglect, as fast as we could do it, and again, it was, we didn't have all that much time because the season opening was fast approaching, but we did as best we could. And there will be more improvements coming. And we did, institute a reservation system, albeit only for, as Tom said, we have almost 160 slips. We set aside 20 of the B slips and 7 of the A slips. So it's just a fraction of the number of slips that are available, because in the past
Sort of a
they have
pilot
all
program.
been first come, first serve. But there are a number of people that, whether it was because they had a sailboat and couldn't get over there fast enough or whatever, you pack up the kids and you get in the boat and you've got everything going and you get over there and find out there's no slip for you. And this enables people, if they wish, to book a week at a time and plan their vacation, if they will. And so we got a lot of good, positive feedback on that, a little bit of negative, I'll be honest with you. But for many, many years, there was no
Control, right?
no, yeah, and you're not really talking about control as much as, you have to have some rules and they have to be adhered to. And, we had hearings at the town hall, and a number of people came out and, didn't want any rules and just take care of
Business
making
as
sure
usual.
people, follow the rules that are there.
Mhm.
Well, we tried to do that and you get pushback on that. But I think all in all, people understand, or I hope they understand, that we were coming at this from a perspective of trying to make it a better experience. And I know that your staff was absolutely incredible. When we went over there, and a lot of time people that work for government get a really bum rap, but the guys, and I say guys, guys and girls, but I'll use the generic guys, went over there and we said, you think you could do something about painting? You think you could replace that fan? You think we could? Oh, sure, we can do it. And when it was all done, they were like little kids. They were so proud
Of their product.
of what they had gotten accomplished, and they really put their heart into it. And you could see it. And I really hope that people understand that for the most part, you're going to get your bad apples. It's just, you can't avoid that. We have them in our family, we have
Sure.
whatever. But for the most part, the people that work for the town of Islip really, really care about what they do and really want to serve the public. They truly are public servants.
And it gets harder and harder, Supervisor. As you know, we struggle with,
Mhm.
we collect taxes for the entire government body, and we get, little over 4%?
4.73% of the
Right.
town's tax, of your total tax bill, is the town portion. And because we are the ones that collect the taxes, you're making your check out to the town of Islip, and then we, forward the money to the county, and then it's distributed to the various jurisdictions, whether it be the library, the fire district, the school, obviously, and all of the other jurisdictions. So we're left with 4.73% of it. But I think for the 4.73% of the tax dollar, the people in the town of Islip are served rather well.
Yeah, it's lower. I used to work in Brookhaven, and it's much lower here. And we are now getting to the point where we have to take advantage of technology and certainly do more with less. And it's very difficult. As a commissioner, I want as much money as possible to operate, but we got to have that balance between not raising taxes, especially with the tax cap, which is a real struggle for us.
It is a struggle. And, the tax cap, they talk about it being 2%, but quite frankly, it's not 2%. A lot of factors come into play, and that 2% tax cap varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. And for us in the town of Islip right now, the last time I had the conversation with the controller, we were at less than 0.5%, which on a $133 million budget really doesn't even take into account mandated expenses, whether it's pensions or contracts or anything that you are mandated to spend, and various other jurisdictions, whether it's fire districts, if they're floating a bond, that all calculates into the tax cap of the town. So we really don't have that much control. But anyway, we went off on taxes, and we will be back in a few moments for the final segment of Supervisor Spotlight. So we ask you to please stay tuned. Welcome back to the final segment of Supervisor Spotlight. I'm Angie Carpenter, here in the studio with Tom Owens, our Commissioner of Parks and Public Works. And, we talked a lot about the parks and some other things too. But it's getting to the time when the DPW, portion of what you do, although you do it all year long,
Sure.
we're constantly maintaining roads and especially, intersections that people can't see, obstruction, weeds, trees, there's so much to be done in the summer. But now the winter is coming and we've got to prepare. We've got to prepare. It doesn't just happen that we're able to get out there and sand the roads and plow the roads. Equipment needs to be taken care of, and tell us about all of the things
Sure.
you need to do
And
to prepare.
right before I get into the winter, and we said last week one of your concerns was to make sure we're ready for all the school districts in Islip.
Yes,
And,
we've done a lot over the summer at the districts.
Right. We have a pretty big program, and one of the things we make sure of, supervisors, to make sure that if we're doing any paving around our schools, it's done and completed and striped, and all the signage is done, and all the crosswalks are done prior to the school year opening. And there's nothing like the parents, I know my wife's one of them, most of them people drive their children to school now, and there's nothing like a newly paved road. It's a quality of life issue, and in the sake of schools, it's a safety issue. So
Oh, absolutely.
I think we paved in front of our last two schools last week, and we're happy to say that once again, we've completed that chore of making sure that our schools are paved. And part of that program I set with our traffic safety director this morning, Peter Kletchker, and he is making sure that all the crosswalks throughout the town, there's probably 1,000 of them, if not more, all of the signage around schools and everything that has to do with schools, whether it's school buses or anything else, is safe for our children, which is a very important resource that we care about.
Our future.
Yep. And we also try to get our paving done. With any luck, we'll have most of our paving done prior to the school year in an effort to get ready for, God forbid, hurricane season. We have set with the OC and yourself to get ready for, we hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And as far as snow removal, we start actually in August getting our equipment ready. We have over 300 pieces of town equipment, some of it specifically for snow use. And that's been, sitting dormant for the last 7 months or so, since probably
I guess March.
March,
Yep.
right. And so we got to get that all lubricated, get it back on the road, make sure the plows are ready, because I was just mentioning earlier, we feel like we're in a tropic zone. It's been a very nice summer, even though there's been some humidity lately.
Right.
We know that in another month or so, or another couple of months, it's imminent that we're going to get that first snowstorm. And it's very, very important that we're prepared. People's expectations now with Facebook and texting and, not going, you don't have to go to the grocery store for groceries anymore. They deliver them to your house.
Right.
People think if you text or you may send an email, it's magic. You can wave a magic wand and you get your roads plowed. But there's a lot to it. And as I said, that equipment will be ready. We try to shoot for having it ready before Thanksgiving. And we'll start ordering salt and sand around September in order to have full storage barns, which we have 3 of. We have them evenly distributed geographically throughout the town to serve the residents as quick as possible.
Now, Tom said we have 300 pieces of equipment, but that isn't always enough to do everything that needs to be done. And we do have people that, are contracted with the town to assist in helping us with snow removal if it gets to that point.
Sure, that we have. When I first started, I guess about 5 years ago, we can't run government and be prepared financially to have a workforce that's prepared for the worst day of the year. We could never afford it. The residents could never afford it. So we supplement it with contractors, and we have that tally has risen from about 150 to 350. The good news is they all have a geographical area. The good news is we treat them well so they come back. And for the taxpayers, the accountability is they have a radio, a two-way radio, which we can talk to, and it's got GPS in it. So we know where they are at all times. Every once in a while, we find somebody far away and we let that person go because that's not the kind of operation you run. So
No, we want, accountability, first, last, and always. But, when you were talking earlier about all of the intersections that need to be marked and everything at the schools and all, I wanted to say that we need everyone's assistance out there. If you see something that we missed, please let us know. And
Sure.
you talk about, social media, texting and emailing, we're there.
I think you monitor that, right? I think,
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
We're ready for the winter. Almost.
Right.
Our EOC, we talked just the other day, I'm with the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. This week, we were getting another updated hurricane forecast because September is the beginning of hurricane season. and it's something that we watch very, very carefully, work closely with NOAA and county agencies and everyone else so that we're always in communication and try to prepare for any impending storms.
Yes, and you own a home. I know I own a home. It's not only is it almost tragic when it happens because of the damage it does, but a lot of seniors don't want to move out of their home because they love where they live and they end up staying in their home. And we want to make sure that we reach out, and I know that's a big thing for your administration, Supervisor, that we reach out to the seniors and we make sure that EOC is on board. And we work together with PSE&G and all of the local utilities to make sure we have a very smooth operation, including the local fire departments. And pretty much we are well versed because of the history of Nemo and Sandy. And the only thing that comes with age is that experience. And I know we have a pretty smooth operation with public safety, and everybody bands together and knows what they have to do in the town of Islip in a time of need or in a major storm.
Well, it's really a very good point, and it's not just in wintertime that we have these issues, but we do have those relationships going year-round, whether it's tabletop exercises or a quality of life meeting for Fire Island, or the FileSec, which is the Fire Island Emergency Services Committee, meeting on a regular basis, and the various entities, whether it be PSE&G or National Grid or, the state police or Suffolk County Police or Marine Bureau or Aviation Unit. These representatives are in a room on a regular basis, and the relationships are built there so that when there is an issue, as we had last weekend, in the summer, we had problems with the electric, and I started getting the text messages Sunday morning that the power at Town Hall was out. And, Tom, you were great communicating back and forth, and we alerted public safety and everyone else that needed to know about it. In Town Hall, we've got the data center and everything else going on, and employees coming at 8 in the morning.
Know, right?
So we were communicating, but you were communicating with PSE&G and our representatives there, Karen Kemp-Smith, Chris Hahn. Mm-hmm. They were terrific. I texted Karen, thanking her for their assistance, but there was a problem, and they got right on it, and it took till 3 in the morning, but when the employees showed up for work on Monday, no one even knew that there was an issue, except those of us who were texting, calling, or at Town Hall making sure. And just a little shout out to Peter in IT and to Kevin in DPW and Parks, who really above and beyond the call of duty. Both those gentlemen really heat. In that heat, and the air conditioner wasn't working, there's no electricity, and they were at the building, and they really did an incredible job. And as I said earlier, these are public servants, true public servants that really, really care about service. So to Kevin and Peter, if you're watching, this is one grateful supervisor on behalf of the 30,000 residents in the town of Islip. We thank you for your service and dedication.
Yeah, I appreciate you recognizing our employees, because they're the backbone of our operations.
They are. They really, really are. And with that, we are going to have to sign off for this edition of Supervisor Spotlight. And Tom, I can't thank you enough when we talk about stellar employees who really, really care any time of the day or night. Our Commissioner of Parks and Public Works, Tom Owens, is on the job. So we thank you, Tom, and we thank the residents of the town of Islip. Keep us informed of what you need us to do. Keep watching, and enjoy the wonderful town of Islip.